Hello everyone and welcome to Stefan's podcast. Today we are talking about Japan's new free baby policy, and we are also talking about educational abuse, how parents are abusing their children in Japan and across the world, and how it can lead to some absolutely devastating effects. We also have Japan's dancing salarymen, Japan and Korea are training together, and South Korea's crazy cram schools and how it is getting a little bit too much if you're in South Korea, and Japan's new change to convenience stores and pharmacies that are about to take place. This is going to be an absolute shake-up for Japan's pharmacies and what you go into them for. This might actually change how you shop in Japan, so stay tuned for that one. But the first news story for you is about Japan's babies, and they're giving them away for free. No, I'm only joking. Well, kind of. You can in 2026 they are planning on making it so that you can potentially have a baby for free, so there are no out-of-pocket costs. The government is currently looking at options of how they could possibly make this possible, and looking at how they could fund this sort of program at the moment. Because if you have a child in Japan, even if you have some insurance, chances are you're going to pay some money towards this. And I believe it's about a couple of $1,000s. It's not like break the bank money, but it is a lot of money. And I think this is absolutely fantastic. And excuse me. Oh, no, I'm not going to sneeze. I'm putting the sneeze in about 10 seconds, but there we go. Japan, they're going to cover the costs almost fully from this. So if you have a child in Japan, you won't have to pay any fees for it, which I think is fantastic. I come from the UK, the land where the NHS is, or not free, but we pay it in our taxes, and it is very, very nice knowing that if something goes wrong, if you break your arm, or even something like this, that you have a child, you don't have to pay these out-of-pocket fees. Because, you know, I see the news stories in America about the cost of childbirth, and it is absolutely terrifying. I mean, how do you financially recover from it? It's one of the probably the worst thing about having a child in the US is just the extra costs from it. I mean, talk about the worst way to start off having a family and moving on with your life, and this is meant to be such a joyous occasions, but no, you get slapped with this ridiculous bill. And not only that, I mean, in America, you guys go back to work like 2 weeks after having a child. I mean, it's crazy. At least in the UK, we generally don't go back to work for about a year, and I believe how the childcare thing works in the UK is you get 6 months off full salary, and then after that, the next 6 months, your salary like goes down a little bit or something, and then you go back to work. So it's something like that. But I think this is a great policy from Japan. I think, to be honest, all countries should have this. It should be free to have children. There shouldn't be any costs getting into it. Every country should be encouraging people to have children, because you don't want to get into a place like Japan and also Korea where your population is just going off an absolute knife edge. It's horrible, but this is great. Free babies, that's nice. Who doesn't like that? Who doesn't want to have a free child? That's nice. That's lovely. I'll have a bit of that. Free child. I don't even want kids, but I can have them for free. So why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't you now? But next news story for you is about education abuse. And this has been a thing that's just being cited in this big crime that went on recently. On May 7th, there was a stabbing at a Tokyo station. And this guy, it doesn't say in the news article how many people he attacked, but it's quite a big story. But yeah, unfortunately it doesn't have it. It just says a stabbing. But a man was arrested for stabbing people on in a subway line, in a train, and he's citing the reason that he did it was because he was educationally abused by his parents. Now, I had never seen this phrase used before, so I thought it'd be interesting for you guys to know what it is. Educational abuse is apparently when your parents, they interfere with your education too much and they make you study like crazy, and they get very, very specific about what things you can study. So I don't know, say I want to be a geologist or something, and my dad wants me to be a doctor. He literally forces me to become a doctor. I have to study 12 hours a day, something stupid like that. If I fail a test, there's severe punishments. and your parents just basically rule your life. And this doesn't just end when you're 18. There was an interesting story here about a woman who, even into her like later teens and early 20s, her parents were still controlling very, very strictly what she did. And it's actually been cited in some murder cases in Japan. In a 2021 ruling, an Osaka High Court said in the case and acknowledged that her mother interfered and monitored with the defendant so much that it actually had to be a factor in her prison sentence, because these parents were just too much and just like constantly on top of them. Again, another court in Japan did it. It's interesting. I've never heard of this in the UK. This might happen. I'm sure it's possible, but I mean, I studied a law degree years and years ago now, but I'd never heard this phrase before, educational abuse. But a Fukuoka High Court even said that that a similar thing about this abuse going on and educational abuse and how it's actually a thing here in Japan. Oh, I'm sure it happens in the UK, especially with some of the parents out there, but I've never heard of this. And good Lord, if you're a parent and you have kids, yeah, push them to be as good as they can, but take a step back a bit and let them decide what they want to study. As a teacher, you can see the ones who are parents who are pushing them really, really hard. Oh, good Lord, my laptop charger isn't on and I'm streaming from it. Oh man, the battery's gonna die. It's gonna be the end of the world. But as a teacher, while I'm getting all my cables out, you can see some of the kids who are pushed a little bit more. And when they fail like a small test, and I've had students fail really, really small tests, like not like an actual test that will affect the rest of their lives or whatever or something. And I've had them like bursting into tears and worried about their mum and dad and what's going on there. It's not a healthy system, not good for the kid at all. I mean, yeah, be strict with them, but don't go over the top like this. I mean, there's one story here that the mum wanted her child to be a doctor or a nurse, I think it was, and she failed some test, and she made her get down on her knees and basically grovel to the mum that she failed her test, and had to like apologize for her mum so much for failing the test. I mean, it's bad enough failing a test, but then having to grovel to your mum and dad that you failed it. Oh man, that is horrible. I will say, education abuse. I believe it's a thing. I think this is very true, and not a bad term to have, but certainly no reason to go stabbing people on a train, and that's a pretty crazy excuse to use for it. In all the other cases that I've seen, it is the children have attacked their parents, and in some of them they actually killed them, which is awful. But it is interesting that this is a factor. I find it interesting anyway. But next news story for you is about the dancing salarymen off Tokyo. Was this? I'm pretty sure it was Tokyo. Yes, Tokyo. There are a cheerleader squad of actual salarymen. So during the week, they are normal salarymen. They go to their office jobs. They go to their little PC. They sit down. They do their work. They're all wearing their nice little suits and they get on with it. But during the weekend, that's when they come alive. The Tokyo University Olympic team has this like, what would you call it? Alumni. Sorry, it's not Tokyo University. It is Wasada. Sorry, my Japanese pronunciation is awful. Waseda. Waseda University has a cheerleading squad, and their alumni still cheer, which is absolutely amazing. And even though they're salarymen, they still cheer and do all sorts of happy things. And they've now made this like part of their theme. So they go to these like towns and start doing these amazing acrobatics, flips, you name it, they can do it. And they're doing it while wearing a full suit, which is amazing. I mean, you got to be doing this in the winter, right? Because in the summer, trying to go anywhere in a suit, I'll be sweating in buckets. But somehow, when it's summer here in Japan, you see the salarymen walking around in their full suits. I go, dude, respect to you, because I could not do that now. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and I'm melting. But these acrobatics are still doing it. It's absolutely amazing. And even at the ages of 30, they're still going around and flipping and doing all this stuff. They do have a lot of younger people in it. A lot of them are apparently under 30, which is pretty cool, but amazing nonetheless. Would you go and join one of these cheerleading squads on the weekend? Go and dressed in a full suit and start doing some acrobatics to show your skill to everyone and cheer everyone on for their week and get them ready for the weekend. It sounds nice, I have to say. I wonder what it's like drinking with them. Man, they must be, whew, I bet they are strong. I don't think I could keep up with them. That would be quite the challenge. If you be able to acrobatic like this and you're a salaryman, let me tell you something this. You work hard and you also play hard. It is absolutely amazing. But moving on to the next story for you. We have, I'm going to stick with, I should have done this one after the educational story, but oh well. We got cram schools. So cram school hell is intensifying in South Korea. So because of the child situation in Korea at the moment, they are saying that parents are forcing their kids to study like crazy. And there's becoming an issue with these cram schools at the moment, which is if you go to them, they are very, 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 very expensive. And I mean, it's costing parents more in cram schools than they would pay maybe even for private schools. It is pretty expensive. So the average monthly cost of a student at a cram school is apparently roughly 74,000 yen, which is about $700 for these cram schools, and that's a lot of money, isn't it? That's the average price for a high school. So there's even people paying even more than that. That's a hell of a lot of money for you to get your kids into the best universities so that they can have the best jobs. And man, Korea do not mess around. It's very common in Japan, and I will say, as a teacher, you can tell the kids who go to the cram schools, there is a big difference. At least I see it in English, because they just spend so much time doing English and studying and learning it. I also noticed a big difference generally when there is a kid who is not from Tsushima and he was in a big city, went to a cram school. They come to the island, man, their English is perfect. I mean, really, 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 really good. These cram schools, I think they're terrible that the parents spend so much time studying, but in some cases it is good. And I'm really mixed with them, because I think if these kids they spend so much time in school and all the activities, I think they're burning the kids out. You go from 8 to 4, which is when we finish lessons, but that's not when the kids finish their education. They go home, they do their homework. That's going to be an hour, 2 hours. And then if you're sending them to like an hour or 2 hours of cram school, whew, that's a lot. That is a lot. Plus, if they've got a sports club, which they're probably part of, they have to do tennis for another hour or 2 hours. Man, when do you guys rest? I mean, the Koreans are the same. I mean, I thought I went to a tough school. I did, it must have been about 8 or 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then we also did Saturday school, but Saturday school would finish at 12 o'clock. Now, after 6 p.m., that was it. We didn't have any homework. It was all done at school, and you were then off with your family. But to some of my kids, they're crazy. They're going past 6 o'clock. You know, it's far too much. And to have it in Korea, man, that's, I don't like it. I don't like it. But what do you think? Are kids studying too much? And if you're one of these kids who have to study all the time, please let me know what it's like, because I can only imagine the horrors of it. It's not nice. Not nice at all. Too much school. Too much school. I'm all for a good education and kids being able to speak English fluently, but not at the expense of their health. There has to be a little bit of a balance. And they need to also have a life. You know, go out with their friends, go fishing, be a kid for a little bit. Don't just focus on education so much, because you just end up as one of these like corporate robots who have no fun and no happiness in their life. And it terrifies me that a lot of people in Japan say that like their high school or their school times are the best days of their life. I mean, I'm 30 now, and I can tell you this now. School was nice. It wasn't the best part of my life. There were some very, very good moments of it. Doing a load of sports I really enjoyed, but could have done without all the tests, that's for sure. When I look at my life, I don't even look at it of like, when was the best moment? I'm always like, oh, this bit was good for this reason, this bit was good for that reason, this bit I liked for this reason, and this bit, there's nice bits, but all generally for different reasons. I've never been somewhere that I'm like, this is the best moment of my life. Japan, I'm sure I'll look back and say these were some of the best moments of my life, because I'm living in another country. I've got an amazing apartment at the moment. There are some downsides to Japan, of course, not being able to speak the language and a lot of administrative tasks which drive you up the wall. I've got to renew my driving license soon. We'll see how difficult that is. I imagine that's going to be a lot of fun, but hopefully we push through it and we survive, and it doesn't all go absolutely totally wrong, but we'll see. But yeah, don't like it. Too many kids, too much studying. Take a break. But do you know this about South Korea? They divert planes during a certain test. I think it's like the university entrance exams or high school exams or something. But they will actually divert planes around city centres and public areas so that they aren't disturbed when they're taking a test. How crazy is that? In the UK, we would never do that. Ever. You can't even get the kids next door to be quiet when they're taking a test, let alone diverting a plane. Could you imagine? Wow, that'd be amazing. In fact, you know what? I should phone up Heathrow Airport and say, hey, look, my kids are taking a test. Can you make sure you divert all the planes to runway 5, because there's too many planes. It's too much of a distraction. And I would get laughed on the phone. No one would take me serious. But there we go. Next news story for you is about Japan's pharmacies. And this is pretty cool, and it's probably going to change the way you shop, or if you go into a pharmacy at all. So over-the-counter drugs are going to be available at convenience stores in the very, very, very near future. The laws have just been changed by Parliament on Wednesday, making it so that over-the-counter drugs, you know, your ibuprofen, paracetamol, things like that, can now be sold in convenience stores after they take a little bit of training. And I don't think these training courses are super difficult. So I imagine most convenience stores are going to be qualified to sell these over-the-counter drugs, which I think is fantastic. I will say, I wonder what's going to happen to all these pharmacies now that convenience stores have access to this. It's going to be a huge change in how these operate, what they sell, what they do, and how they work, because they make a lot of money here. I mean, a lot of people go into the pharmacies not just for medicine, of course. I tend to go in for cheap sodas and cheap drinks, because generally, if you're thirsty in Japan and you want to drink, they are normally cheaper in a pharmacy than they are in a 7-Eleven, a convenience store, or something like that. A little tip from Stefan there. If you are thirsty and want to drink, go into a pharmacy because they are cheaper. But I just think this is going to change so much for the convenience stores, what they sell. It's going to change the pharmacies market. They're effectively, I think, now going to have to turn themselves into more of a convenience store themselves. I mean, they're pretty much there anyway. The pharmacies that are in Toshima and all the pharmacies that I've gone to, they don't make just their money from medicine. I would say, in fact, that's now, what would I say their market is? If I was to guess, I would say their market's probably 50% from pharmaceuticals and maybe 50% from food, drinks, general convenience store stuff. But now that convenience stores have access to this, man, that is not good. Especially why do you need a pharmacy and a convenience store now in a town? You really don't, and you could see a lot of pharmacies disappear. But I don't know. Will they be able to compete with the convenience stores? I guess they already are. They're already little convenience stores. So interesting. I could end up in some pharmacies going bankrupt. That's what I'm predicting from this. Might not all be good, but we've got a couple of military stories for you. Dun, 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 dun. Unfortunately, not. Oh no, we've got one good one. One bad one. 2 crew are missing at the moment in was it a helicopter or a plane that went for a jet? A jet crash landed into a large reservoir in central Japan, and the 2 people are missing from this. And there's been a lot of like planes and helicopter crashes in Japan recently. We recently had one going from Tsushima to Fukuoka. A hospital plane crashed into the ocean, and I think 3 people died from it. 3 people died from the 3 or 4 people died from the event. I think 1 or 2 people survived, so that was nice. But awful at the moment. I don't know what's going on with Japan and their aviation. It just seems to be every single week I'm reading a story about something that's crashed here or something that's crashed there. I mean, the aviation is fairly safe, and none of these are passenger planes, so that's nice. Although they did have those incidents recently about planes like knocking into each other a little bit on the runways, and a fire. There seems to be more plane crashes in the last year that I can remember than any other time that I've been alive. I know my dad, when he was younger, he said that plane crashes were a lot more occurring, and you'd have one every couple of months or something. But now it seems like a thing of the past. But if I just remember ones we had that plane that flipped over on the ice. Do you remember that one that everyone was getting off? We had the unfortunate plane crash in Korea at the start of the year. We had the Tsushima one. We had those ones touching on the runway. Heathrow lost all of its power. It seems to be aviation at the moment. Terrifying. But they're still looking for these people. I hope they get found in this ocean. Of course, this is a military class. Oh, and there was another military one that went down recently in Japan, wasn't there? Am I thinking that right? Seems to be right. Everything in man is not meant to be in the sky. Let me tell you that. You're meant to have your feet on the ground, nice and safe, where no one can keep you. Although I will be honest, I have a secret dream when I'm older to get some kind of pilot's license, because after living on an island, I have this dream where I can basically go anywhere at my pleasing, and I'm tempted to even looking to buying a boat in Tsushima. If I thought I could get to Fukuoka within an hour, I would generally consider buying a boat, because it is such a pain having to get planes and jet foils, and they're always full and you can't go at the time you want. And I have this dream that I can just go anywhere, wherever I want to. I can just get on a boat, I can sail it myself, I get there, I can get on a plane, I fly it myself, I land, I do my fun things, I go home, it's the end. Of course, I'm on a teacher's salary at the moment. That is not going to happen anytime soon, but hey, maybe in the near future I'll be able to get some kind of pilot's license. And also I realise how much I despise studying. I absolutely hate it, and it's the worst thing ever. I've been studying for the JLPT recently, and it kills my soul every time I do it. Although I've been using ChatGPT recently to study, and that has actually been really, really helpful, because I have a Japanese teacher, but we only do 1 hour a week, and she's not like a trained teacher, and there's no real curriculum. So I don't do any like exercises, and ChatGPT is very good for making these exercises. So what I've been doing is conjugating, I believe is how you say it, conjugating dictionary form into mas, masen, and mashta, you know, all the polite forms. And then tomorrow I'm going to move on to probably the impolite, and it's just been good for me to go through all of these different exercises and have it like a more conventional way of studying. We actually do like homework and things like that. I mean, I spent a good maybe 2 hours today doing it, 2 hours of studying. I felt pretty good with it. I'm getting used to like the group 1, group 2 and group 3 things. And then they just have these weird ones that you just have to memorize that aren't group 2, because group 2 is RU, RU, and if it generally has RU, then you just knock off the RU and put mass at the end of it, and then go on from there. But there are some where you have to change the RU to RE. It's very, very confusing, very annoying. It's all like all languages. They say there's a rule and why the language does this, but in practice it actually doesn't, and it's all just a big fat lie, and you never really know what was going on, and you just, it's a terrible. Why anyone would want to learn a language, I don't know. It's probably the worst thing that you can ever do in your life. It makes me absolutely miserable every single day when I'm studying it, but hey ho, that's learning for you. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not, and in my case it's generally not fun. But it has been helping me in the classroom. I even just looking at the words and then going to class and then teaching a lesson, I'm like remembering phrases that I've just learnt in the textbook, and I'm like, oh, I can tell them this to be quiet. Whereas before, when I'm studying, sometimes I'm just like, oh, what was I going to say to the kids? Oh, I can't remember, I forgot it. But there we go, and I stick to monkey English instead. But there we go. Next news story for you is about Japan and Korea training together for the first time. So Japan's ground self-defense force said it's going to start conducting some trainings with South Korea for the first time ever. They're like, you can't say Navy because they're not allowed to have like a professional Navy, or I'm not sure what it was originally. They weren't allowed to have a Navy. They could only have a defense force. So their military defense force, their maritime one they did training with, and their air force they did training with. But this is the first time that they are doing actual boots on the ground training, which is very good. They're training for if something happens and there's a typhoon, and they're going in and finding a typhoon or tsunami and search and rescue missions. And I think this is good. It's nice to see two countries coming together. I feel like this Trump thing has maybe been good because it's made Japan and Korea talk to each other a little bit more about trade and a few other things. And Korea recently gave back a statue to Tsushima, which is very, very nice that they did, even though Japan stole it. Tsushima stole it from Korea about 500 years ago, but they are now giving it back to the Japanese, which is very, very nice. And I feel like their relations are hopefully getting a little bit better. I'm seeing more and more Koreans in Tsushima, especially when I go to the supermarket. Every single time I go to the supermarket, I swear they time it, the Koreans. They just watch for me and wait for me to go to the supermarket, because they perfectly time it. As soon as I'm like walking to the supermarket, the busload of Koreans turns up, and I'm not joking, a actual bus of Korean tourists will turn up, go to my not big supermarket at all. I mean, it's maybe 6 or 7 aisles long, and that's it. And they will turn up and they will make me wait for at least half an hour at the checkout and get in my way when I'm trying to shop. Obviously they're on holiday, so they're like dawdling around going, "Ugh, Japanese rice, that's amazing. Japanese onigiri, that's amazing." Everything they're looking at it in great detail, deciding whether to buy it or not, thinking whether they can get it back in Korea, and drives me mad, absolutely mad when I go shopping. Because I'm not joking, I don't think I've been shopping in about 6 months where I haven't seen, where the bus hasn't turned up within 2 minutes of me getting to the store or getting in the store. I once had it when I was in the store and I was about to go and check out and buy it, and then I just saw the people all rushing in, and I was like, no, I've got to leave. Got to leave now. There's just too many. It's just too many. It's not a big supermarket. It's really, really not. I mean, too many people. Too many people. And unfortunately, that's the problem with living in a tourist place, is you get a lot of tourists turn up when you want to go shopping. But otherwise, they're great. They come to the island, they spend a load of money, they leave, the end. Although they did get themselves banned from Watazumi Shrine, the very famous shrine that's on a lot of the pictures for Tsushima. No tourists can go there now because of it. And I was actually really surprised that the Koreans actually returned the statue to Tsushima. If that was me and I just found out the island that we're returning this statue to has banned a load of tourists because they don't want them coming to their site, and they want you to give back this precious statue or whatever, I'll be like, well, you can unban all the tourists and then I'll allow it, and then I'll send it back. But no, they were very good and sent it back, even though Japan, or I should say not just Japan, some temple banned all the tourists from going because tourists are tourists and they do touristy things. It's silly reason, but there we go. That's it for Japanese news stories, but we have got some stories coming from the big old UK. We've got Man United versus Tottenham, which I will be honest is the most exciting game of football, which I probably won't watch, and I really want to watch it. It's on at, I think, 4 or 5 a.m. here. I need to have a look. Tottenham versus Man United. Man United is going to be on 4 a.m. here, and it's on a Thursday, so I will be working then. I either have to watch it on repeat or just see it and try and watch it without anyone spoiling it for me. And I also don't know where I can stream it here. It's so hard to find the games in Japan. It really is. I really like it when I'm in Korea, because I'm not a Tottenham fan at all. But every single time there is a Tottenham game, they have them in the cinema because of Son. And you can actually go and watch these games in the cinema. It's a really fun experience. It is a little bit pricey, I will say. But watching a game in the cinema with a load of Korean fans rooting on Son, probably one of the best football experiences you will ever have. It's awesome. Unfortunately, there's nowhere I can do this here, and there is no bars. There's no sports bar that would be open on a Thursday morning at 4 a.m. where I could go and watch this. So I have to try and stream it or watch it in the past. But I love Big Ange's story and how he always wins stuff in his second season. And I was looking at his Wikipedia page and his history, and you go, wow, he actually almost always does wins things in his second season. I mean, he's done it for 10 years. I think the only ones he didn't win was when he was managers for the under-21s for the the country of Australia, and a few other teams he managed, but he was only there for a year. But I'm so excited because I think whoever loses this is going to end up getting sacked. If the Man United manager doesn't win this, I think he's almost definitely getting sacked. And same with Big Ange. So very interesting game. Going to be a lot of fun. Both of them desperately need a trophy, and I think it will mean more to Tottenham getting the trophy and breaking that curse. I was also having this debate with a friend. What do you think is better? Winning a Champions League winning a Europa or winning a Bundesliga? And he said winning the Bundesliga, and I kind of agree with him. I think he's probably right on that, because it's a whole league. If it was the Champions League, then would be a totally different story. And then I think I'd take a Champions League over winning a Bundesliga all day long, because that means you beat just everyone. You beat everyone. You beat all the different countries, not just one country. Who wants to beat one country? That's easy. I mean, but the Champions League, that's the best of the best of the best. The best of 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 the best. But I think that's all the news stories that we got for you today. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your week and rest of your day. I will be back probably tomorrow doing some sort of stream or some sort of video. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you made this so far, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.